lot of people end up being unhappy when they don't make progress, but it is also common to feel like you could be doing more and you should do more and you want things faster.
If you look at when you started your journey to where you're at now, no matter where you are, you'd probably be so proud. But obviously as that happens, you'll start to kind of dilute the amazing progress you've had. You'll underplay your accomplishments.
Unfortunately, when you don't appreciate your wins and where you're at, no matter what goal you hit, you will never be happy.
Is they believe they'll only be happy when they hit that goal. Instead, you need to be happy all the way through. If you're delaying happiness and you're putting all your happiness on the way you look, the way you feel, you're likely not going to be happy.
You don't need more motivation. You don't need another quote, another motivational video. You need action. Ruthless, consistent, daily action.
What's going on? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all Happy podcast. I am your coach and host, Josh, here with
his co-host and co-coach, KG, and I'm in the house.
Welcome to Motivation Monday. We're going to jump right into it today, waste none of your time with our primary question. And that is, I've been making some great progress, just over 1 pound loss per week, but I can't help but feel unhappy with where I'm at. How do I get past that?
Yeah, and this is a great question. I actually got asked it recently in conversation, and I had to spend some time thinking about it because I'm like, you know what? This is very interesting, right? Because a lot of people end up being unhappy when they don't make progress, but it is also common to feel like you could be doing more and you should do more and you want things faster. And the first thing I actually said to this individual is that, you know what? You're not in the worst spot right now. And what I mean by this is to want more and to be driven to want more is actually a blessing, right? You're in a fantastic spot. Now, where it gets really challenging is that unfortunately, when you don't appreciate your wins and where you're at, no matter what goal you hit, you will never be happy. And even for this individual, I said, like, if you lose 20 pounds and you get to where you want to go, you likely won't be happy because you haven't been able to spend time celebrating all of your amazing milestones, your wins, everything you've done so far. And so my first and biggest tip here is, once again, to be okay with wanting more, and you actually should in fact want more. So don't look at that as a downside. But if I were to give you one strategy, no matter who you are, if you are making progress, celebrate that. Tell yourself you're proud of yourself. Be able to own those wins. When someone says, hey, you're looking better, like, what have you been doing? Don't downplay yourself and say, well, I should be further along, but yeah, thank you so much. Like, I just see so many people beating themselves up. Someone will be 20 pounds down and they're like, well, I want to get to 40, right? And so once again, wanting more and wanting to get to 40 pounds lost, absolutely nothing wrong with that. But to be able to skip over your accomplishment to then look forward to where you want to go is one of the worst things that you can do, because like I said, you will never be happy. So it's a very simple answer. Spend 2 to 3 minutes per day, appreciate it, think about how proud you are, and really focus on those small victories. And I don't just mean the scale victories and the overall photo victories. Like, those are amazing. Those are big victories to celebrate. But I mean the consistency victories. I mean the ones where you said, I wasn't going to go to the gym today, but I'm proud of myself. I wasn't going to challenge myself and try a 225 squat. And I did. I may have failed, but I'm proud of myself. When you start to get to that point where you appreciate all of your small wins, you will forever be on a trajectory of long-term success, because you're going to appreciate it. You're going to want to show up more. You're going to want to keep going after you reach that initial goal. And that's going to be my main answer for this amazing question.
Yeah, I was talking to one of my clients about just the concept of being satisfied with where you're at and your goals and wanting more. And one thing I really stress is, I think there's never a point where you're like, all right, I did it. I'm happy, this level of results, I'm so lean, I'm so jacked, like I'd never want anything else, I can just maintain now. I think we trick ourselves into believing that we will get to that point, but there's always more. The bar always gets raised. And it's funny, I was listening to a podcast today with one guy who was really wealthy and then some other guys, and he was saying how he didn't understand how whenever someone hits that bar, they just re-raise that bar, and they think they're going to get fulfillment once they reach that number, and it just becomes a bigger number, a bigger number, a bigger number. I think with weight loss as well, right? Like, if you look at when you started your journey to where you're at now, no matter where you are, you'd probably be so proud. And back then you'd probably be like, oh, this would be my goal. This would be dreams. This would be insane. It'd be unthinkable. But obviously as that happens, you'll start to kind of dilute the amazing progress you've had. You'll underplay your accomplishments, and you'll always compare yourself to other people, especially with social media and different things going on. So instead, what I really recommend is like learning to like the process. And I think Kyle nailed it when he said really learning to celebrate small wins. I think even in your journey in general, there's small things you could do, right? Like maybe say, once I hit my milestone, I'm gonna go to a nice steak dinner, fit that in, enjoy it, and that's going to be my celebration. Or you'll do a photo shoot, or you'll go to a certain beach or go to a spa and enjoy walking around that you're super jacked and shredded and you've reached a goal. I think it's also healthy and good to set a new goal, but I think where people go wrong is they believe they'll only be happy when they hit that goal. Instead, you need to be happy all the way through. Where you're at is where you're at. If you're delaying happiness and you're putting all your happiness on the way you look, the way you feel, you're likely not going to be happy. Instead, like Kyle said, you should be celebrating. Like, I had a great week last week. I did everything I needed to do. I'm moving towards my goals, not away from them. And that is such an amazing feeling. And that's something my clients always say to me. They say, I love working with you because you're always pushing me to do more, to not take my foot off the gas, and to improve, but also really helping me feel proud about the things I have accomplished. And when no one else is there with you, it's so easy to not feel like there's been any change. You see yourself in the mirror every day. You move around with yourself every single day. So to me, I always find it really nice as well when someone else notices. If they say, hey, you're looking really lean, or did you lose weight, or you're looking really good, be proud of that, celebrate that, right? And like I said, those milestones are fun too. Even if you have a weight loss goal, you could say, I'll get a new outfit at this goal or something. I find it's just so good if you can learn to celebrate those little wins. You'll come to appreciate them more. And in general, I think it's natural to understand that you'll always be unhappy, you always want more, you always know there's more you could be doing. And I think you just need to reframe it and use that as fuel, use that as motivation, as encouragement for you to do and be better, but also be really proud of where you're at.
And this is why I love the quote as a bonus quote for today, proud but never satisfied, because I just feel like it says so much, right? You got to be proud. You're happy. Let's just say this individual has lost 20 pounds. But if she just said, hey, you know what? I'm good. Like, I'm chilling for the rest of my life. You just sometimes become complacent, right? Like, and that's where I would much rather have someone who is driven and wants more than someone who just like does a little bit of good stuff. And then they're like, oh, well, I'm good forever, right? And even like, I will say as a bonus thing here is just, you don't want to lie to yourself. So if someone is, showing up and doing some really good stuff, but they actually haven't like really made too much progress and moved the needle, it is okay to say, you know what, like I'm not happy with this, and I know I want more and I need more. And I think sometimes people will kind of trick themselves in that sense where they're like, okay, well, I've been going to the gym. If you check my records, I've been there every day, but then they also don't really see change and they're still not happy. But then they'll say, well, I'm happy because I've been going, which, don't get me wrong, is awesome. But then you're missing out on the fact that like you still have a lot more you want to accomplish, and you're not really being honest with yourself. And that's why I would much rather someone who has that like fire underneath them. And sometimes a lot of times progress will come from a point where you just really want to feel good about yourself, and like you're unhappy with how you feel in an outfit or a dress, or some event that you went to where someone maybe made a comment. And once again, it's not always fun to have, but I find sometimes having that fuel and that fire will just get you to show up for yourself. And even sometimes progress can come from being angry, right? Like you have something you're dealing with, you're like, I'm upset about this, let's go. And instead of just being like, well, you don't really have that fire underneath you, it's sometimes harder to show up. So I did want to just add that as like a little bonus.
And with that, I love the idea of reusing that energy, because just the same, maybe you are doing great, maybe you're losing a pound a week, but internally you're like, I could be doing more, I could be improving, I know I want more progress. I don't think it's wrong to use that. And like when you have more to give, and you're cutting yourself short, and maybe you're not working out as hard as you feel you could be more accurate with your diet, you could be better with your recovery, like you can identify a hole in your game. A lot of people get really self-conscious and upset when they find a hole in their game. They don't want to be called out for it. But I think as you mature in your journey and you improve, you're like, yes, I found something I'm doing wrong, or I know an opportunity, an area I can improve, because the second you start to improve on that, your results just improve that much more. So I think sometimes you got to ask yourself, like, am I being hypercritical for no reason? Or is this like kind of calling me to do more and be more?
And I got a second bonus quote today. So this is a special episode. It's something I've shared with quite a few of my clients. It's simply, do not just focus on the results, but focus on the habits that get the results. And what I mean by this is a lot of times people are unhappy because, let's just say, they're focused on the scale day to day. And then it's just like they become so fixated on it, and there's really not as much you can do, especially when it comes to day-to-day fluctuations. So when it comes down to the overall progress side of things, the happiness side of things, I always say to my clients, let me take care of all the data. Let me take care of all of that, the measurements, the photos. Just do what you need to do and focus on the habits that will get the results. And I promise you the results will come, right? And once again, when it comes down to the unhappiness side, it's those who will just be so fixated every single day. You step on the scale, fingers crossed, just praying for that low weigh-in. It doesn't come just because that's how our bodies work. And then they just become unhappy and they just want, more. And a lot of what they're doing is coming from that unhappiness perspective. Whereas if you're like, hey, I'm enjoying the journey, Coach Kyle's handling all the progress, Coach Kyle's making sure everything's moving in the right direction, I'm just showing up and doing what I need to do, you become a lot happier with the entire process and also make more progress along the way. So just wanted to share that as another random thought that I had for this amazing question.
And even though Kyle dropped 2 banger quotes, we're going to jump into our main quotes of this week. And we love quotes for a reason. I think when you want to dig deep, that's where it's always good having them in the back of your mind. And they're always something to encourage you and motivate you forward. And mine's a little bit more intense, but it's something I love and something I've been thinking of. And that is, comfort is the silent assassin of destiny. And why I love this, you've probably heard the quote before that the sad thing about graveyards isn't the people that have passed away. It's the people that didn't live the lives that they're capable of living, seeing their full potential, realizing their dreams, taking a stab at their goals. It's so much easier just to say, oh, I could never do it. I'm not going to try. I'm not going to take that gamble on myself. Or I have bad genetics. No one in my family's fit, so I can't be. Instead, right, aim to actually push yourself. That's why comfort is the silent assassin of destiny. Destiny is your potential. It's your opportunity. And a lot of the times comforts hold us back from that. I said this before. When we're sad, we want comfort in excess food. We want to eat garbage. That's going to hold us back because it's going to make us feel worse, more lethargic. We're not going to take care of our body. We can do more harm. It's more fun to skip the gym and sleep in than to actually go work out and train hard. But which one's going to make you feel better? Which one's going to build you and help you grow? So I think it's good to really realize that comfort's important. But I think in this day and age, comfort is pushed more than ever. You should never have to lift a finger for anything. There should be no struggle, no challenge. But on top of that, I also think like doing something hard, doing something challenging, solving for it, like finding a way through it is such a rewarding feeling. And that's something that can never be substituted just for comfort. So I think you need to be aware and do it intelligently. Like even last night, played a ton of volleyball. I had a lot of fun. I was just reading a book in my bed before I fell asleep. And I was like, this is great. Like this is my time. This is something I enjoy. I'm going to be able to crash after. I'm comfy, I'm warm, I'm safe, all these good things. And I really came to appreciate that. And I think there's like a fine line between just like actually appreciating things in life that are good, that are going to make you feel better. So if you want to have a watch TV show at the end of the night and you want to be comfortable and relaxed, that's good. That probably won't take away from your destiny. If you start putting off things and you watch 6 hours of TV and you stay up really late through the night so you sleep in longer, that's going to kill your opportunity, right? So I think it's good to reframe and find a balance. And if you want to go to your favorite cookie place and have a massive, delicious cookie, do it, fit it in, surround the rest of that day with good food. I just think right now, me and Kyle were joking because we see funny videos about dopamine maxing where people will like play a slot machine, watch football, rip Pokemon packs, and like just do crazy stuff while scrolling reels. And a lot of people live that way with comfort. They're like, how can I have no adversity, no challenge, no stress? Like even for me, it's less fun for me often to go out and go on a walk and get moving. Always feels rewarding after the fact. So I think you got to ask yourself, like, are you selling yourself short by being overly comfortable?
And now I'm going to jump into my quote for today, which is very, very powerful. You don't need more motivation. You don't need another quote, another motivational video. You need action, ruthless, consistent, daily action. And I love this quote because that is all it comes down to, right? And especially if you remember my quote from last week where I was just talking about how a lot of people will talk about doing the thing and they'll write about doing the thing and they'll just never actually do the thing. I just genuinely believe, although all of these amazing things can help us in the short term, like motivational quotes, and I love videos and I use all these to help get started, the biggest and most important thing will just be, did you actually do the thing, right? Like when it comes down to actually putting in the work, did you show up for yourself? Did you go to the gym? Did you get your nutrition? Did you say what you're actually going to say? Did you actually do what you said you're going to do? Sorry. And this is just really what it all comes down to. Like you will always beat the person who doesn't show up. And if you actually show up, if you put in the work, if you stay consistent, you follow the basics, you will 99% of the time win, and you'll be ahead of most people. So I just thought this was great because I see so many people who are just waiting for the perfect moment. They're waiting till they feel really motivated. And even I love that Josh was mentioning like last night after beach volleyball, because we absolutely crushed it. Like we were going completely crazy, jumping, we were winning. Like it was amazing. And even this morning, I just thought, oh yeah, I'm a bit sore and we have to do legs. Well, I'm still going to do it. And like, I know it's kind of a off topic here, but like I'll talk to a lot of people who are waiting for the perfect time where they're not as sore, they're not as tired. I'm like, you just still have to show up. And that's what's most important. And that's how you get the best results. It's not waiting for like a moment where you're like, oh, well, my legs are at 100% or like, you know, like I've got the full 2 hours that I usually have. Just do it and do it to the best of your ability. And that's how you're going to get the best results long term.
Yeah, and action obviously produces results, and as you get results, it produces more action. And the more you can be consistent with that, the more you create discipline, and that is way more powerful than motivation. And I think it's hard to say, a lot of people say you're so disciplined, it comes naturally to you. It doesn't to me. It's something you kind of need to drill nonstop, and it just becomes a non-negotiable. We mentioned before, it's weird at this point if I don't eat back-to-back healthy meals. It's weird to me, like the concept of sleeping in, like it's not even a reality. I'm so used to waking up early and getting after it. It's weird to me to not work out. If I don't work out for a few days, I get kind of jumpy. And that's just because I've done it so much. It's become a discipline. It hasn't been something I need to hype myself up to do. And it's taken a lot of time to get there. But even if you just force yourself into those habits for 1 to 2 weeks, you'd be amazing how quickly you can rewire your brain. And just the same, like I've used this example a lot, but it's just really true in my head that when I went rock climbing that one time, I had pasta. And every single time since, I think I did it twice maybe, but every time I go rock climbing since, I have a craving for pasta. So I think habits can be good or bad, and you can have associations that come from them. And that's where Kyle mentions it all the time. He'll say, I don't want to let this become a habit. Because when you start to do something enough, right? If every time you go to the zoo with your kids, you get a massive ice cream on the way home, maybe go to the zoo twice a week, you're going to be getting ice cream every single time, right? And like might not be the most productive habit. If it's special treat, sure, but sometimes you want to analyze just these random things and say like, okay, are they serving me in my life? Do they make sense? Is it truly something special? Is it something I'm overdoing? I know a lot of guys like after sports will go grab random food, or they'll have a beer after like rec hockey or something. And like, it's funny how something relatively harmless, when made a habit, can be so potentially detrimental. And I don't even know how I got to this train of thought, but it's something to me that is very true. And I guess on the flip side, where the train of thought came from, like the more you can just like, if I get out of bed and every day I go on a walk, it takes that flinch out of it. I just know it's what I do and it feels better. So that's where you want to have more positive associations, and you can create them by just forcing yourself into them. Obviously it's less fun when the reward isn't as instant as it is like having a drink or eating a ton of sugar. But when you can reframe them, then you can get that reward. And even like Kyle said, it's funny, like volleyball killed us. Like we both felt so beat up. We were dead. We were in the sun. We were probably getting a little dehydrated, but it was so rewarding because it was so fun reframing it. I was outside. I worked my body. We were able to get 5 out of 6 games we won, and we were killing it, and it felt so good. And like, it's funny because that's not comfortable, and like, it's kind of hard being a little beat up, but it's rewarding. That was a reward of us hustling, going hard. Kyle was like an animal at the net. He was blocking a guy, I think that was a foot taller than him, which was pretty crazy. And he was like owning that dude. And like, I think his body will feel the toll of it from jumping so much, but it was super good. It was super rewarding. So that's my whole rant. I guess that's my thoughts as well. But yeah, be careful with the habits you create and aim to create good ones.
Yeah, that dude was like 6'8", and I don't think I let him get a point on me. I was just hustling.
And you're 5'3", right?
Yeah, I'm 5'8". It's funny. I always said I'm 5'9", and then yeah, one day they put on my records that it was like 5'8" or whatever. It's like maybe 5'7", maybe 5'6". But no,
maybe
it's
6'3". Depends who asks them.
Yeah. But seriously, it's such a good point. And that's where I know Josh, like he was stemming like the whole habit talk from the discussion of like skipping the leg day, right? And I've had a couple uncomfortable discussions with clients as well, because, you know, sometimes they're like, hey, like, you know, should I move the days around, or like, what are your thoughts? I'm like, no, just still do the best you can. Like that is to ultimately, like, I'd say most of the things I do at this point in my journey, it's not to be perfect. It's not to break records. It's just, there's times where I'm like, I'm literally just doing this to be consistent. I'm literally just doing this not to break the habit. And I think sometimes people are so tough where they're just like, well, if on this day I'm sore and I was doing 315 before on squats and I might have to do a little bit less, I'm just not going to go. It's like, or I'm not going to do it. It's like, Doesn't have to be that way. There have been times where I've done a belt squat before, because my back will just get so jacked on the Tuesday from like just absolutely being an animal and diving. I'm still going to go. I'm not going to just wait until another day, because I promise you, if we don't do it this Wednesday, which is when we do leg day, then next week there will be something. And that's where most people don't realize that. They go down that rabbit hole of getting these negative habits, and then it just keeps compounding. Then the next time after beach volleyball, if we stop for that ice cream that Josh was talking about, or whatever it is, then the week after, that's what we normalize. And it just becomes habits on habits on habits. And people are wondering why they're not succeeding. And that's why I'm such a big fan of the 2 books, Atomic Habits, and I'm rereading that now, and The Power of Habit, because there's so much to it. There's a lot of depth towards these things. And I just thought that was such a great point. And the last thing I just want to say, I saw a photo, I was scrolling, and it was from Gary Vaynerchuk, and it was basically a quote that said, who you surround yourself with matters. And it was like a photo of lemons, and beside the one, there was one like really moldy lemon that was touching like a one that was just starting to become moldy. And it was just basically showcasing like, obviously them being close together, they're all going to become moldy because of that one. And I just thought it was so interesting, because we always talk about, the power of the people around you, who you surround yourself with matters. And it makes such a big difference. And this like photo, and I'll put it on the screen here, to me was just such a good reminder. It's just like, if you're with someone who has really bad habits, as we're talking about it, what's going to happen? You're going to get those bad habits. It's just the way it goes. If you're with people who show up for the gym, who don't make excuses, who eat well, what's going to happen? That's exactly what you're going to do. So yeah, that's a friendly reminder. Just pay attention to who you surround yourself with. Make sure they're positive people. Try to get around those people who are going to improve you and make you better. Our community, to me, is the greatest thing in the world, because we have this group of people who are just crushing it, who are looking to become better, who are looking to become stronger. And honestly, if you don't have that group of people, just feel free to reach out. You can join us for our coaching community, and I promise you, you will absolutely love it, and you'll see results guaranteed.
Yeah, what's awesome about our coaching, not to toot my own horn too much, is not only do you work with myself, Kyle, and get the incredible results you've always dreamed of, and if you like listening to us on the podcast, imagine when we know your exact situation, we're rooting for you, we're messaging you in the morning, hey, did you get that workout in last night? I'm looking at your macros throughout the week, I'm making alterations for you. You also get a community behind you. You get other people who say, hey, I take my health and fitness and longevity serious enough to invest in it and have a coach, because it's a priority to me. And you get a whole community of people where you might not have that in your life. People might not understand it. They might not get why you're into fitness, why you eat healthy food when cheap garbage food is so much cheaper, why you get up to go to the gym instead of laying around after partying all night. So that's where, when you find your people, it's only going to promote you to grow that much more, right? It's going to take you away from those moldy lemons. And we'd love to obviously work with you one-on-one. And speaking of that, we actually want to go ahead and showcase someone who's been in our program, who's been absolutely killing it.
Yeah, and this week we actually want to shout out Megan, who is a new mother who's showing up for herself. She's investing in herself. She's becoming the best version of herself while, of course, taking care of her family. And obviously, last week I was talking about nurses and healthcare workers and how important they are. And by all means, they're incredibly important. We love working with them, and we have a lot of nurses. But I was just spending some time reflecting. And the main reason is because I made a YouTube video, which will also be out. So I'll link that down below, of just how to become a fit parent, how to deal with all that and just navigate. And that's going to be the last question. So make sure to stay tuned there. And I just thought about how amazing it feels to help these people who are taking care of others, right? Obviously, when it comes down to work, when it comes down to the family, when it comes down to raising a human being, there's obviously so much involved. And I think one of my favorite things at this point is just seeing these people become the best version of themselves. And we're working with so many amazing mothers, fathers, some people with newborns. Like my most recent client, actually, her child was 3 months old, and she started to work with me, and she's doing some incredible things. She's already back to doing chin-ups, pull-ups, and just doing such amazing things. And so obviously Megan is a prime example of what's possible, and she just feels incredible. And every single day, she's starting to feel better for herself, but also her family. It's not just an investment into herself, but also her family. So just to see her start to thrive, to feel confident again, to have energy, to feel her absolute best, to be consistent, it makes such a big difference. And what a lot of people don't realize is that it needs to be created for you. So a lot of times people will see a one-size-fits-all program, or they'll have like a coach who doesn't understand their situation and what it's like to navigate with a young one, and the differences of like being at home and creating something for them, which is what we fully do. And then they don't they feel like they can't succeed because the plan isn't created for them. And that's why we love working with amazing parents. What we're going to do today is actually run a 1-day promo. All you have to do is message me saying fit parent. If you're looking to get the best results possible, have a customized plan, get guaranteed results, and just feel your best, not just for yourself, but also your family. You deserve this. You have so much going on. Let us take the guesswork out of the process. Let us take care of you. I guarantee you this will be the greatest thing you ever do. Message me fit parent to Instagram at ColossusFit.
And this goes if you're planning on being a parent. I've mentioned before, one of my clients said he wishes he knew how insane it was having a kid because he would have went so much harder when it was easier. I think hindsight's always 2020. I remember this distinctly with high school. Like I did well, had a really good average in high school actually, but I remember in university thinking like, man, I could have had like 100% average in high school. Like this was a joke. Like when you go to that next level, you kind of realize. And I think with kids, you have to be that much more like critical and clinical with your time and be very decisive and be very committed. And there's less room for hesitation. So even if you're someone who's planning on becoming a parent in the next like 1 to 5 years, like now is where you want to get in front of this because there's going to be forces against you, right? And there's no better feeling than being a fit parent, walking around with your kid, being able to play with them, do these wonderful things. So even if you don't have a kid yet, but you'd like to be a parent one day and you want to be your healthiest, best self for your kid, as well as pros to having a kid, all these other amazing things, definitely be sure to message us Fit Parent because we would love to work with you and get you set up and in a great place. But now we're going to jump into our second question, and that is, I've been going to the gym for 2 years and noticed that gym etiquette is only getting worse and worse. I try not to get bothered by much, but I notice it's starting to get to me. I'm curious, do you have any major pet peeves? And I'll start. I know Kyle has quite a few to talk about this, but I do find in general it's getting pretty crazy, but I find the gym's always being crazy. There's always interesting characters. There's always things going on. And I find some gyms are managed a lot better than others and they're kept under tighter wraps. Especially I've noticed like smaller gyms where you kind of know the owner and everything, people are a little bit more respectful. In chains, people start to get crazy and you'll see some odd stuff and there can be a few bad actors and it can be a little bit of a mess. And I think the whole gym situation is interesting in the sense that they're busier more than ever. And it's funny, Kyle just had a brand new gym open up near him and he'll talk about it more. But it's really cool to me as someone who's been lifting like 15 years and seeing how things have changed. The new gym that opens, so this is brand new 2026, just opened last week, brand new gym. There's only maybe like 1/10 of the gym is cardio equipment. Whereas in the past, it would be 2/3 cardio equipment with a little weight room. So it's crazy seeing the shift to everyone's lifting now and everyone understands the importance of lifting, whether you're like a 15-year-old athlete or you're someone who's 80 years old and you want more longevity and everyone in between. So it's awesome seeing everyone lifting. But because of that, I find you're getting such a mix of people. And I know Kyle's going to pop off and I don't have too many specific things to say. But the one thing that really does bug me the most, I think, is people asking me if I'm using equipment, using something mid-set, especially when it's something crazy. Like I've had people like, especially because I really, and honestly, shout out to this dude yesterday. I was doing straight arm pull downs and we're going to talk about on the Thursday episode, like how to get more out of your workouts. But I called myself out a bit and I'm like, I got to have no junk volume. Like every set needs to be so dialed in, so focused to my RIR. So even straight arm pull downs, I do them as more of like an activation movement for my back day. But I was really trying to push myself, really trying to get to that RIR1, trying to squeeze every rep to maximize mind muscle connection. And I could tell a dude was like wanting to ask me if a towel was mine that was like a little bit away, but he didn't ask me, let me finish my set. And then he asked, so big shout out to him. But I've been in like heavy sets, like squatting like 400 pounds. People are waving me on, hey buddy, are you used? And like, I'm dying here with 400 pounds on my back. It's just like, it's better to let someone finish their set and then politely ask them if you don't know, especially if someone's doing a lot of weight, because it is really hard. And in particular, I don't know why I get it so much, but people will ask me if I'm using something like on the other side of the gym. And I always point it out to Kyle after, like, I guess it's nice that people are being respectful, but it's like, come on. Like we made a funny video where our buddy asked Kyle if he was using something and they did like a full lap of the gym and he pointed to some random thing and Kyle's like, no, I'm not using that. But it happens more often than you'd think. Like people will be kind of crazy asking you that mid set. If someone I'm not doing a set. You can ask me whatever you want, but that is one thing in particular that it kind of does upset me. The second thing I'll say is being mindful of the space in the gym, actually. Sorry, like I guess this got me down a rabbit hole. In the change room, I find like people are just hanging out in change rooms more than ever. They'll spread out their 6 bags over like a massive bench and like leave you no space to change. Like, to me, everyone should try to be considerate of each other. I'll sprawl out if no one's there. If someone comes in, try to move my stuff, make some space, make sure everyone has an opportunity to have some space to change. Like the other day, a guy was like man spreading in the change room. He had his bags all beside him. He was scrolling Instagram. And I'm like, why are you just hanging out in the change room on the bench here? So I'm sorry if I'm calling anyone out here, but I do find like the big takeaway with gym etiquette is just like, it's like do unto others as you want to have done to you. Like try to be mindful of that, right? Like if you want space to change, give people space to change. If you want clean equipment, clean your equipment. If you want people to not talk to you mid-set, don't talk to them mid-set. Like it's a really easy screener that I find can solve most gym etiquette issues, but I do find it's definitely getting a little wild.
Yeah, and it's a lack of respect, really. It's funny, I made a Reels, and you can check out ColossusFit. You'll see that. I just go on a rant, and we had a lot of good comments and discussion. I was just like, I feel like people sign up for a gym, and then they act like it's their first day on earth, or like they feel like they own the gym. And it's kind of, to me, getting worse and worse. I feel like there's always been issues, don't get me wrong, but I'm like, the more and more I've been in these gyms specifically lately, one of them being Good Life Fitness, another Lifetime Fitness, it's just like, once again, I swear people act as if like they're the only person around. And genuinely, that is the only thing that gets to me. It's just, there's a space here for hundreds of people. We all just have to respect that. And the way that I've always operated in the last 15 years is just be respectful of others. You know, I've got a shirt, you know, from our buddy's company. It just says true respect. On the back, it says be kind. And to me, a form of respect and just doing all this is just really knowing that you're not the only one there. And that's all it comes down to. And if I were to act the way that I should be, which I do, I realize I'm going to use one piece of equipment. I'm going to put away my weights. I'm going to put my weights at the proper spot so I don't make it harder for other people or the staff who shouldn't have to put your weights back. When it says 30s, just put it back where the 30s are. Like yesterday, and I filmed a video, is on our story. I just couldn't believe it. This gym is so new, and there was like 2 sets of dumbbells in place. And the only things that were actually in place were the heavy ones, the ones that like the people who have respect for others typically, like, you know, if you're using 120s, you're putting them back at the 120s. I saw like a viral reels and I want to remake that, but I just thought it was so true. I'm like, I've never seen 90s in the wrong spot. They just put them back. People who take 15s, they'll just put them wherever. And so once again, when it comes down to gym etiquette, to me is just respect. You know, there's about 7 benches there. People will take their towel and their phone and just place it on a bench. They're not even using it. That to me says that I'm more important and I'm going to take up the space that I'm not even using because it's my space, right? When you use 6 machines and you don't let other people work in, that's just to me saying that you feel like you are better and that you should be able to use all that, but other people don't matter. And I just think it's kind of crazy because once again, you use 1 machine, you know, if you want to do 2, like you can, you know, find a way around that, whatever, but there's other people around, you know, especially when you leave all your plates on the leg press. The next person who's going to use that leg press, they're not using 7 plates aside. It might be someone who's just wanting to warm up, someone who does 7 times less weight than you and wants to use 1 plate. I just think when you have respect, when you care about others, when you realize it's a shared space, you'll be in a good spot. And I know every single person here respects others, but yeah, to me, it's just pretty crazy. So I've got a few pet peeves that have been bothering me, but you know, I'm just going to keep on carrying on. If I ever need to say something to someone, like that's just like very disrespectful. I'm not against it. I might just say, hey, like, you know, you're going to put your weights away or something like that. But yeah, it's been getting crazy in my personal opinion.
Yeah. And the problem is if you think like, oh, I'm sure the next person, I'm super strong, the next person's going to use 7 plates or more on the leg press. And then you get someone who's like newer and more petite and just really wants to work on great form. It's not fair to them. Like they're cleaning up all my stuff. And then I think at the same time too, it's like what you do, other people will copy and emulate. So if everyone's just leaving stuff everywhere, not cleaning anything up, not putting them in the right places, like I think as well, when you are doing cleanup, like you should make some degree of an effort to put things back relatively where they need to go. And it's just so easy to say, it's not my gym, I don't care, but it's the gym you use. It's like your little community, and it is good to try to respect it so that everyone can obviously get the most benefit out of it. bit. So like Kyle said, I think most of it truly does come down to that. But in general, like as long as you're just trying to be nice and trying to work hard, trying to be aware of the space, like you've covered your bases. Most things are going to be totally fine and you're going to be good there. And like innocent things happen as well. Like we were using some plates today on the leg press. Me and Kyle used different weights. The guy came and took them and Kyle was just like, oh, hey, sorry, buddy, we're actually using those. It's like, okay, no problem. Like doesn't need to be a big deal. I think even just having discussions with people in the gym, smiling at people, a good gym hack is if there's someone you see there a lot, just wave to them or say, hey, how you doing or something. And you'll have that little bit of rapport and that like you'll be on a team with that person, right? Like that's a member of your community. And it's funny how gym friendships can very much just start from like a nod or you saying hey or something like that, or complimenting a lift, whatever it may be. And it can be a great way to build more community and have more fun in that gym, which can be absolutely amazing. And I think some people are just so out there and do such odd things. Sometimes you just got to ignore them and move past it. And we got a couple of those at our gym and smile and just kind of move on. So I think that was a fun question. And now we'll jump into our third and final question of the day, which Kyle teased a little bit. And that is, how did you balance being the father of a newborn and keeping up with your fitness?
Yeah, it's a great question. Actually, from our video editor, Greg, he asked, I posted on Instagram, hey, any questions? And he asked this. So shout out to Greg. Honestly, and it's funny because I literally just made a YouTube video on this and it'll also, like I said, be up. And I give like a lot of in-depth strategies. But my biggest thing without going too in-depth with all of the things that I said in this video was just simply making it a priority. It just needs to be a priority and it needs to mean something to you. If you look for excuses, tired nights, a lot going on, don't get me wrong. I will never discredit all of the work that needs to be put in and all the challenges and the late nights and the wake ups and everything like that. But the thing is that once you start entertaining it, you will forever entertain it because there will be that. Then there'll be, oh, well, there's sports and there's this, and then you'll find reasons for that. Well, I can't do it this week. And I find when you schedule your workouts like appointments, when you treat eating healthy like a non-negotiable, whether you had 2 hours of sleep or whether you had a beautiful 8-hour sleep, you still do the same stuff, right? And the second that you start entertaining this, it just becomes that habit, which we talked about. And even I'll get some buddies who are now having kids and they'll be like, hey man, like I see you guys have been doing this for a while. Like Josh has 2 kids, like any tips you have? And I'm like, they're about 7 months out. They just found out the, wife was pregnant. I'm like, dude, start now, build that habit now. So once it gets more challenging, once things come up, you will be in such a great routine and it'll be great to navigate. Even my client, Caleb, shout out to him. He just had his second with his wife and he's been showing up. He's been posting. He's done, 30 Mondays in a row. He doesn't miss weeks. He shows up consistently. He's up 4 something a.m. always getting work in. And it's a priority. It's a non-negotiable. He shows up consistently. And the last thing I'll say is I could never imagine telling my little one and saying, hey, I'm not in shape and I haven't been showing up for myself because of you. And when you think of that, I know it's very intense, but when you think of that and having to say that, you're just like, what am I doing? Like, why am I making these excuses, right? And I know it's a little bit tough for people to hear, but the truth is it just needs to mean enough to you. It needs to mean enough to them because like you're doing this for them to be healthy, to be in shape, to just be the best version of yourself. And when you start looking at it that way, you'll have non-negotiables and you'll show up no matter what. So that's my honest answer for that question.
Yeah, I think what's important in what Kyle said is like accepting your situation. I think it's really easy to be in denial and say, okay, in 3 months when it's easier, when they're like able to walk, it'll be better because blah, blah, blah. Like you can kind of just lie to yourself. Like with every level, there's another devil, there's another challenge. And I think I mentioned before, like anything else, it's very much a factor. I think where being a parent is so hard is it affects your sleep, it affects your energy. It's a lot to maintain. You're trying to stop them from getting into stuff, doing things they shouldn't, balancing that, especially with a new one too. I think it's just such a radical shift to your world being like, okay, I just got to take care of myself, do my own things. And you're like literally taking care of another human being. So I think no matter what, you have to acknowledge where you're at. And I think that's ultimately how you win. Like even with my wife, like she was working and she was pregnant, and it was like the only time she'd get to the gym was at like 4:30. And I'm like, it's either, the reality is either you don't go to the gym or you go at 4:30. And she's like, 100% you're right. Started going to bed earlier, was really happy she did that, maintained her steps. And because of that, she was able to like get back to her pre-pregnancy weight, I believe in like 3 months, give or take, which was awesome. And like that came from that acceptance because it literally was either A or B. Like there was no time during that time really elsewhere. So it was like, are you going to be able to do this? And I think no matter your situation in life, like if you work night shifts and your reality is like you either work out at the start of the shift or the after, and if you don't, you won't. You got to know you just got to get in there. You got to find a way to succeed in your own schedule. I think especially when you're a parent, you got to get creative to do that. And I think it will take practice. It'll take some trial and error. You're gonna have to see what works. And of course, like all the tips that work for me could be so opposite for you, because you could have a kid that's different and is more demanding, less demanding, different schedules, who knows, right? But you're going to have to do it tired. You're going to have to do it beat up. You're going to have to do it frustrated. You're going to have to find a way to still just get done what needs to get done, and to not like lie to yourself that you can't get it done. And it is hard. And it's like, I got parents in the program here who have like 4 kids, like mothers who are doing everything. They're working, they got 4 kids, and like they find a way to get it done. Like maybe it's not 5 times a week for 2 hours, but they find a way to get it done, and we adjust, we reschedule, we do what's realistic. But the main thing too is like you're doing something, and that you don't let it become a time where you go back, because unfortunately it's like a test. You'll see a lot of people, they'll have kids, and especially for women, like your body changes so much goes on, your hormones, everything. It's really dangerous if you gain a ton of weight, you don't take it off. Like life will just keep hitting you. Like you'll have more kids, you have more challenges, things will pop up, and it can be really hard just one day to be like, okay, I'm going to lose 80 pounds. So I think you can kind of get to this point where like things can go one of 2 ways. And that's where you just got to really be relentless and saying like, no, I'm going to find a way to get this done. I even remember like with my first kid, I was like, it was hard to wake up early. I was tired doing all these things. I'm okay, I'm going to go to the walk. I'm going to drag myself to the gym. I'll treat myself to some extra caffeine. Like the more you can solve and find different ways to succeed, and just be honest with others, and do it within reason too, and communicate it, I think, like in your household, so you can find ways where you can still both be healthy and fit and make it easier on yourself wherever you can. There's always a way through it, but I think that acceptance is the biggest thing.
Yeah, and just realizing like it's not about perfection. And truthfully, I know I've said this a million times, but it's about progression. It's about doing what you can in that current moment. So even thinking of all of my amazing mother clients, father clients, like there's some times where, you know, I have them programmed for 4 workouts and something came up. We did 2, but then they did a really good job with nutrition, and, you know, their child got sick and that stuff happens. Or some of them, they've had like really, really bad sleepless nights. So we've been able to navigate and work around, okay, here's what we usually do. Here's how we're going to navigate and what we're going to focus on this week. And the fact that they keep showing up week after week, even if it's not 105%, 110, like 110%, it's the 100% that they can give in that current week. And they're going to win because they keep showing up week after week, even if it's not perfect, and they're just moving in that right direction. Whereas most people will be like, oh, well, I can't do anything, so like whatever, I may as well write this week off. And that's why obviously with this promo, the Fit Parent promo, it is so powerful having that guidance, having that support, having that person who can hold you accountable, who can understand what you're going through, who can make those adjustments for your schedule, for what's going on in your day-to-day life, and everything amazing that and challenging that comes with being a parent. So if you are on the fence on getting accountability, getting support, just message me saying Fit Parent. I promise you, I will hold you accountable every single step of the way. I guarantee your results, and I cannot wait to help you out. So thank you so much for spending time with us today. Tune into the next episode where we talk about 7 different strategies to get better workouts and to get more out of the gym. Thank you so much, and we will see you in the next episode. Peace out.